Hello and welcome to the North Banks Reactopod. Okay, you need a bit of context for that. We are in discussions over what to call the podcast that we put out on the post-match game day, on the day of the game, the evening of the game. So Chris is adamant he wants Reactopod
because it's so cheesy and it sounds a bit sci-fi, like I'm going into the Reactopod. So I kind of like it just because it's a bit cheesy. But
Steph and myself aren't so sure.
Steph's got sort of integrity.
I sort of like Reactopod, but I wouldn't actually put it out in the world.
So we're calling it Reaction, North Bank Reaction, or North Bank Raw Reaction. Is it? I don't know.
It might change depending on what's happened.
The mood, yes. Okay. Well, look, we eventually saw off the challenge of Southampton earlier on today. We won the game 3-1. Chris, you were at the game, and yes, I know the burning question the viewers in this instance have is, did you make it to Block 6 concourse on time? And the answer is, of course you bloody didn't. And this
Hang
week,
my head in shame.
This week I'll be mostly blaming my kids for not getting there on time.
I have to do a lot of kiddie runs, as people with kids will know. You know, Saturday's very busy with all these classes, and I always
I made it on time. And Steph, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Welcome back. And you weren't at the game. You're part-timer, but
slacker.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, brilliant.
What's your excuse this time?
Short stay in hospital. All that. I've literally got a doctor's note if you need it.
Okay, we'll let you off. But lovely to see you here now, at least, if I didn't see you at the game today. But you actually, unusually or untypically for us, you're the one who's seen it on a screen.
Yeah.
So you've probably got a better idea as to what happened, because I've seen nothing since. I got home at 6:30 and I've kind of not stopped since. I've just had time, obviously, to jot down some stats, because that is my want. So I shall share those stats now, okay? Match stats, first of all. We had 29 shots to their 8, but unlike the Leicester game, only 6 of those were on target, because at half-time they announced that we'd had 14 shots in the first half and 1 on target. And I didn't remember most of those shots, so I'm not sure what kind of shots they were totting up as part of those 14. And we had 13 corners to their 1. That's as far as I've got on the match stats. But there are 3 lovely kind of stats going for Havertz, Saka and Martinelli. So I'll start with Saka. Saka now, only 6 players have more assists than Saka in the Premier League for Arsenal. Can you name those 6 players?
Ozil.
Yes. So Saka's got 42 assists, right? Ozil's got 54.
Bergkamp.
Fabregas.
He's got 70.
Bergkamp.
94. He's number 1.
Fabregas.
70's number 3.
Henry.
74. He's second. So you're missing 1. You're missing 2 on 46 and 43. So Saka will have these 2 reeled in by probably the next game. Oh, mind you, that's Liverpool. So, it's Bournemouth away, isn't it? And then Liverpool. So 2 players.
Give us a clue. Go on.
Okay, 1 is retired. That doesn't help much.
Cliff
one's retired. I think we sold him to Everton. I can't remember who we sold him to, but we nicked him as a really young kid from Southampton. Yeah, Walcott's on 43, one more than Saka. And the other guy is still playing back in his home country, I think, Wales.
Ramsey.
Oh, Ramsey.
Yes, Ramsey's on 46. So, we'll talk about the game, obviously, and we'll talk about Saka's role in particular, because at half-time I was sat there thinking, who's going to step up? Who's going to, where's our Stardust? And then I did think, well, Stardust, Starboy maybe, and boy, did he. The second one is Kai Havertz. He's the first player to score in 7 consecutive appearances at the Emirates since Robin van Persie in 2012. And overall, only Henry, Doug Lishman and Jimmy Brain have enjoyed longer scoring streaks on home soil for Arsenal, and they all got 8. So I think we've got Shakhtar next. If he scores against Shakhtar, then he equals that, and then when he scores the winner against Liverpool, he'll be out on his own.
Yeah.
And the final stat is regarding Martinelli. And I didn't know this, but Arsenal's record when he scores is ridiculous. We haven't lost when Martinelli has scored, and this is what I was trying to count before we started recording, Chris, because it's just listed as WWWD, WDD, W. So I'm in my poor eyesight, I've got us down as 36 games he's scored in, and we haven't lost any of them, and we've drawn 5.
That's not bad.
That's impressive, that is, isn't it? And I think. Well, let's talk about the game. Let's start off with the team news. I wanted rotation.
You got it.
But was I happy, Steph?
You were not.
I wasn't as unhappy as maybe that initial message suggested. I understood.
You were more annoyed because I'd said, you weren't happy with the rotation, but then you pointed out that it was Arteta's fault that he had to play.
That we didn't have a
right
back.
back.
Yes. Because Timber had played too many minutes and broke down, and he's not in the Dutch squad either, so maybe well timed if it's a minor muscular injury. You never know.
There might not be anything wrong with him.
Yeah, with any luck, a 2-week rest for him, absolutely, after the year out last year with injury. That would be, just what the doctor ordered, so to speak. So Partey at right back, Jorginho came in, and then Trossard and Martinelli dropped out to be replaced by Sterling and Jesus. Now, I did my issue with all the starters. I could understand it, apart from Jesus. I didn't want to see him start the game. I thought he's done absolutely nothing to warrant a start. I would have had Ranieri in ahead of him, but or one of Trossard's, or probably Trossard's, not Martinelli, but Trossard's would have started for me. Chris, how did you feel when you saw the team news?
Well, on paper, I thought this is good and attacking in the sense that if we were going to use Havertz in that kind of forward role, kind of interchanging with Jesus, as he did with Trossard, I felt that was a kind of showed attacking intent. But as soon as it started and we sort of reverted to a more traditional kind of 4-3-3 with him as a right 8, and he just wasn't getting forward enough, and Jesus was it wasn't sticking with Jesus, so it became apparent fairly quickly that it was a kind of dysfunctional setup. And I felt also that the lack of pace over kind of 20 yards and beyond that Martinelli gives you, we didn't have with Sterling either, because he's good in bursts, but he's not going to give you that kind of run from the halfway line to kind of pin a fullback in his position. So, for me, it was just a very lumpy first half. And
but I didn't realise, but apparently, because I've read a little bit, that we started really well. I mean, I know I was at the game.
Said?
Yeah, I know, I was at the game. Steph, you were watching it on the screen, so did we start really fast? Because Arteta seems to think that we did, and that we should have been 1, 2 or 3 up in the first 10 minutes.
We started okay. It was fine, but it was against a team who came with a certain shape that were looking to play out from the back to the point where it was two sides of the same coin. They were sitting deep, but also trying to play out from the back. So they needed numbers back to make that play out work. But it meant if they lost the ball, they still had lots of players sat in. So essentially it was a defensive setup for them. And, we were fine, but I don't know, just lacking incision.
It was just a lot of, for me, benign possession. And the irony is, the other day against PSG, where we kind of let them have the majority of the ball and controlled the game effectively, we can't then turn around and say, as Arteta did in the presser, which I kind of disagree with, that we deserved to be in front at half-time. Well, possession alone and one shot on target doesn't earn the right to be, to deserve to be ahead. I just think we flattered a lot. There was a lot of that bustle in the first 10 minutes, as you'd expect, and energy. But it was essentially...
What were those chances, Steph? Chris, you were closer to that end. I couldn't see. I couldn't make it out at all. There were a couple of goal-mouth scrambles, all right. Yeah. I mean, was there a clear-cut opportunity for us to have scored at any point there? I couldn't see it.
Saw. No, not that I saw. It was that there were some tackles, there were some bodies in the way. And then there was a couple of speculative shots from the edge of the box in frustration more than anything else from, I think, Partey and Gabriel, where I just thought, if we're resorting to this, then Southampton have kind of got us.
Jorginho had a shot that went just wide, didn't he? But the first shot on target was Thomas Partey's one, like in the 45th minute.
Late on.
Yeah, it was right before
and it was
the half-time whistle blew.
At best. That last 2 minutes, for me, was the best period of the half, because... all of a sudden, I think one or two of Jesus's touches did stick, and they found a way through, and that led to the territory that we got in order for Partey to then have that shot that was on target. So we sort of finished a little bit stronger, but like you say, Chris, there was just a lot of huffing and puffing and not a lot else really.
Yeah.
What did you think of the team setup then, Steph?
Yeah, I mean, fine. We all wanted to see some changes, but there is now something, and you alluded to this, Chris, where Jesus plays in such a way. I liken it. So when we get to the second half, there's a clear point of where the difference is, and it's just that he wants too many touches on the ball, and he expects a little bit more time, and we've become something of a well-oiled machine.
Has he always been like that, or have we evolved? Have we moved on?
Well, I think we've moved on now, and
it's interesting. He seems to be trying too hard.
Well,
in
possibly,
a lot of instances,
but I think just his style is not. When he first came into the team a couple of years ago, and we hadn't been through the changes that we'd got, having him as a kind of focal point at the top, that first half of his first season, he was electric. But our setup was essentially to allow him to be the agent of chaos and all that kind of things, and dazzle us with the unknown, and the team was kind of structured behind him. But it's almost like now, the team can be structured further forward. You mentioned Martinelli, Havertz and Saka, and those brilliant stats that are doing the rounds about them. I mean, that front three is operating on a slightly different level now. And so when Jesus comes in, I know it was in a slightly different position, to augment it. He doesn't augment it. If anything, he was kind of stifling it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because where he would get his foot on the ball, rather than he's already looked and knows where his next pass is going to go, no, he's just got his foot on the ball. He's going to take a couple of touches. He's going to jink. He's going to then have a look, see what's on. He's going to, put the kettle on, look at his watch. And it's all kind of broken down from that point of view. Whereas the others, like you say, we've evolved to... And it's interesting that it made me appreciate what good a job Trossard has done coming in to the team. He's not doing everything exactly like Odegaard, but he has picked up the pace. He's hit the ground running a little bit more, and Jesus is now kind of floundering. And like you said, a bit like with Zinchenko, where we've said the same thing, we have kind of moved on a bit now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trossard is sharing the Odegaard role with Havertz. I think they're each doing their kind of variation on what Odegaard does. Yeah. What we're still missing, and it was patently obvious throughout that first half, we're still missing that incision. And that's why I was screaming for Nwaneri at half-time. Yes. I knew he wouldn't. I said, I'm screaming for Nwaneri at half-time, but he'll be the fourth sub at best. He'll bring on Merino, Trossard and Martinelli before Nwaneri, and that's the way it panned out. I know he brought on Tommy Aston. It was nice to see him back, and Kivior came on right at the end as well.
We really missed. I just felt. I think I messaged you guys just saying we either need the lock picker, like we're missing Odegaard basically, or someone who can Ethan-wise carry the ball, create that kind of draw people out of position, to then break the lines, which they were very comfortable defending.
He seemed, in his little cameo against Leicester, he seemed to have the quick feet that Odegaard has.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, who else has the quick feet? Saka to an extent, but not. There's nobody else that's got those they can just shift the ball left to right really quickly. And
Jesus does.
Yeah.
Yes,
but Jesus is doing it not to offload to someone else.
His is instinctive to keep hold of the ball.
Yeah.
There's not with Ødegaard. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's about to do, and he knows why. And that's the difference. Okay, so half time. I think in the state. I don't know about your experience in the ground, Chris, but it was pretty flat.
Yeah.
Where I was, and I felt bad because there was a young kid and his dad in the seats to my right, and it was the kid's 11th birthday, and I told him at the start. I said, "I've got this sorted for you. Arsenal, we're going to win 5-0, and Saka's told me personally that he's going to score a goal for you on your birthday." At half time, I had my back to them. I was thinking, this isn't quite the game I'd envisaged or hoped for, but it was pretty flat. How are you two feeling, Chris?
Yeah, and on it went into the first half. We came out and looked flat again.
Well, Jesus had a chance, didn't he? Right at the start of the second half, like there was a shot on target right in the first minute or two, but that was as good as the second half got for a while. But what did you want to see at half time, or what did you want to see different for the start of the second half that we didn't see?
Me personally, I wanted to see subs as soon as possible because I could see that the shape wasn't working, and I just wanted Havertz further up. And like I said, I just wanted someone with a bit of guile in the middle, which we were just lacking.
How is it on the screen then, Steph? Because you often get a different perspective.
Yeah, it was fine. What was noticeable was actually Southampton were different after the half time. They were much more on the front foot. It's almost like they played rope-a-dope. They were doing the classic away thing. Okay, we'll keep it tight, 45 minutes, see where we're at, and then we'll have a little bit of a go. And they did, and got their rewards for it. Because we had a complacency about us, and just whether that was because of the changes that had been made and some of those relationships were not quite there, but there were a few that looked just a little bit casual or out of ideas. It was weird.
You said something, Steph. I don't know what point it was, but it was either half time or just into the second half, and it was along the lines of, we have to, in these games like this, we have to find our motivation, because it was quite flat and the crowd was quite flat. So what did you mean when you said we have to find our motivation?
Well, in the sense that, and many an Arsenal team has done this in the past, and is maybe also reflected in the way the crowd reacts as well, it's second from bottom Southampton showing up, who have been conceding goals and blah, blah, blah. So, we'll all take care of business and then, be home in time for tea, and it would all be dead easy. And it doesn't always work out like that. You still have to apply yourself. And I feel like something about this Arsenal team are much more focused and intense when there's something to fight for. In the Champions League, it's fairly easy because it's the Champions League. And there's something about the competition and the decor on the stadium that makes the players just lock in and go, right, here we go. Whereas when it comes to the league, unless there's really, the most intense games are obviously those against the teams at the top. And so sometimes these games, and there was a bit of it in Leicester last week as well, where we almost need setback to kind of like reignite us and to switch us back on again. And weirdly, going behind seemed to do that a little bit. It just refocused everyone and made everyone's like job and thought process a bit simpler, a bit more direct, and just with
it made Mikel's mind up, didn't it? It was pretty clear that he needed to make changes. If he'd intended to do it later, he made it sooner.
Yeah.
So we had this moment in the 55th minute. Cameron Archer scored. I just want to say that their number 7, rb, I thought he had a really good game. He looked really dangerous from my perspective. But Cameron Archer, I must admit, I didn't see the goal. I could see it's down the other end. I couldn't. Can someone tell me what kind of goal it was and how it went in the back of the net? I've no idea.
It took a nick on the way through, I think. It looked like it took a deflection on the way in.
Yeah, it did. But it was Southampton turning over the ball because they were starting to press a little bit higher and knew that their opportunity to either take a shot or get the ball into an area that's dangerous was going to be time limited. So we're really quite direct, and they've managed to sneak it in. But
was it a shot? Where was the shot from? Where was it?
It was in the area, but I don't think much in the area. It wasn't
because
it wasn't
inside to the
goal,
left,
but...
kind of on the D as he was getting into the boxes from as I can remember.
Right. Because they nearly scored just before that, where the ball landed on the roof of the net. But I just saw that. I didn't see how it got to just on top of the roof of the net.
That was more from a traditional cross, yeah.
Right.
I just saw a few Southampton players do that kind of hands on head. That was our chance thing.
Yes. That's quite funny because where we sit, Stef, we're looking straight through all the Southampton team to the goal down the other end. And yes, several times there were hands to head. Me too, and plenty of fans around us because until it hit the top of the net, I had no idea where it was going. Could have been coming back my way for all I knew. Just that perception from where we are. But critically, within 3 minutes, we'd equalised. And just a word about that Havertz goal. I mean, assist by Saka again. You're going to make a point about this, Steph, I figure. Saka won the ball, and I'll let you make the point, but then he set up Havertz. And that was such a glorious, sumptuous finish. I mean, but his reaction, I haven't seen the replay of it other than what they showed at the ground at the time. He's so cool. Like, it was like this is what he does all day, every day. And it just pinged off the inside of the post, and you could never have saved that. It was just perfection and absolutely crucial. And he was very good all day. I mean, some of his defensive or his pressing and stuff. I mean, he retained possession. Yeah, like how has he got his leg round there to get that ball from that player, and that player's ended up on his backside, and Saka's run away with the ball. But he doesn't seem to break sweat. He doesn't break smile much either. So that was obviously to score, to get back on level pegging so quickly was imperative. But yes, the ground was up. The atmosphere was up, and it was like, yeah, come on, let's keep pushing. Chris, what kind of view of that goal did you get?
Oh, perfect. I mean, it was glorious. And I think his attitude kind of summed up where we were at the time, that he knew it wasn't good enough. I think that's why you got the kind of cool reaction, because we knew that it wasn't the time to celebrate.
It's not job done, yeah.
Get on with it. But yeah, I was just so pleased for him as well, because there was some criticism. I can't remember where I heard it, perhaps on another pod, but if he could improve his finishing, he'd be the complete player. You know, the idea that he's not ruthless enough in front of goal. Well, show me a goal as, you know, more ruthless than that.
That was clinical. That was
striker's goal. Yeah.
And he had to kind of shift it past the defender as well before creating a space for himself to take the shot. Then took the shot, and it was just perfect. And as
you said, great timing.
Yes, 3 minutes after. Now, Steph, the point that you want to make, I'm not sure is the comparison, does it happen before we score the second goal, or was it before the first goal?
No, it was before we scored the first goal.
Right, so go on.
So basically, Southampton have scored, and then it seems to have woken us up, and we're now pushing for the equaliser. And there was a moment before where, out on the wing, I think it was on the right, Jesus intercepts a ball and then tries to lay the ball across to Sterling, sort of on the edge of the box. But it doesn't make its target. There's a lack of, I don't know, I mean, again, it's the intensity of the pass and the
conviction.
The conviction, that's the word, perfect. Yeah, absolutely right. And even, you know, Sterling slightly on his heels possibly as well, and it doesn't come off. But a moment later, Saka's intercepting the ball on the halfway line, and the moment he's done it, he's then sprung and fed Havertz the ball, who's took the ball round inside or round, and then shot and, like as you say, pinged it. And you can look at it sort of one of two ways, really, because on the one hand, you've got Saka and Havertz who are on form, they're flying, they've got a good relationship. Another assist for Saka, another goal for Havertz. And on the other hand, you have got this kind of, the next set of players below who are sort of struggling. And in the same way that we've said Martinelli is in this bind because he's getting the minutes, but he hasn't got the confidence. Well, Jesus isn't getting the minutes, and I think, perhaps confidence isn't quite there. Sterling, we know, hasn't got the minutes either. And I think if I was to be sort of kind on Arteta, you can sort of understand why he has his plan A, and he kind of sticks with it, fairly relentlessly. Hamstrung by the fact that we have had a number of injuries, meaning he probably has, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, one or two, have probably had to play because they've had to play. Others could have been rotated, but at the same time, if you were going to be harsh, I think, like today, what was it, 3 or 4 changes, in one game before the international break? What if you look at the last 3 or 4 games and make 1 change per game? And it then might encourage a better cohesion for those that player 13, 14, 15, maybe even 16 in the squad, so that when they do come in, they're able to link up better with players and have more conviction in what they're doing because they've run these patterns recently in a game, rather than everyone coming in and everyone being a bit unsure of themselves. The outlier for that is someone like Nwaneri, because he's young, he's fearless, and he's just so
precocious as well. Yeah.
And precocious, yeah, exactly right. And
do what's got you this far, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think Odegaard's injury is going to be beyond the international break. I think that's pretty clear. Timber, we've got to wait and see. There's a couple of other players that are running in the red.
I'm hoping that the White omission was a precaution because of the international break and because it was home to Southampton, and he figured that Partey at right back should be enough, and it was, as it turned out, as it transpired, enough to get us over the line, playing Partey at right back. He's played that position before, not to great fanfare, but
well, as I said, the team, for all the things that we can pick about it not being very cohesive and very good, was still a team that should have been good enough to beat Southampton. So we can all quibble about that, but we can also sort of pick apart the fact that it something just wasn't there. It was just a bit of weird performance.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head with too many changes in one game. When we're already missing Odegaard, on top of that. And
the
I
chemistry
think
wasn't right.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, and you could see that. Okay, but we have to talk about Saka, because that pass, that cross for Martinelli, which happened was Martinelli, he scored that goal right in front of us. I can't see it, a Saka, right?
Got my Saka t-shirt on.
Do you know what I really love about, well, many things I love about Saka, but that he does all his work, he pins the full-back wide, stays on the touchline, and then he comes inside, and he never has to beat the man. And I've said it loads of times on this podcast, but that's what I love about him, is he doesn't have to do it, because his vision and his delivery is so good that they can't get near him. There were times when they were trying to hack him down as he cuts inside, and then that delivery.
Beautiful. I mean, it was, I suppose, kind of similar to Trossard's delivery for Havertz against PSG. I've got the right game, haven't I? Yeah, the first goal against PSG. But I mean, when it first left his foot, I thought, he's overcooked it, but it was perfect. And Martinelli's finish was actually born of confidence. Yes. He wouldn't have scored that goal 3 weeks ago.
That was right in front of you, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had to see the replay to see exactly how it had gone in, but it went in, he had a very narrow angle, but he hit it with, he just caught it perfectly. So what was the
VAR call about then? Was it potentially Havertz?
Offside.
No, for who?
No, for
Was it
Martinelli.
for Martinelli?
Yeah. Because in the ground, I don't know if you've noticed, but I keep saying it, and I said it to the people around me today as well. When they don't show the replay, they keep putting up that goal. And those,
checking.
I turned around. No, not checking. They're not when the checking's there. It's just immediately in the ground, goal comes up on the two screens. And then it keeps going goal. If the goal is fine, it comes up with replay, and then they show a replay of the goal. But they kept doing the goal, and I said no. I said, "There, check it. This is offside." Because you just got to wait for offside, because in the era of VAR, you can never be sure, and I couldn't be sure.
It
and
was
as
close.
you said, Steph,
Right.
if he'd had a beard, he'd have been offside.
Yeah. It was that close, but he timed it absolutely perfectly, and he was so quick to meet the ball, and like you say, to meet it first time, oozing in confidence. Ramsdale near post is a little bit squeaky, but just class.
Again, with Calafiori at left back, and we'll talk about him in a second, but with Calafiori at left back, Martinelli gets another goal. I'm not saying it's because of Calafiori. I think, let's talk about Calafiori. I think he did a lot of good things today. I think he won possession a lot. In an offensive sense, I thought he was really effective and quite dangerous. But do we need to talk about his lack of pace?
Oh, yeah.
I think you can mitigate for a lack of pace by your positioning, and that's where I feel he was
He's
lacking
young.
there.
He is young.
Yeah, and he's not up to the speed of the Premier League.
And actually, is he a centre-back, not a left-back? His coach at Bologna moved him from left-back to centre-back because of his lack of pace.
Yeah, but there's no excuse to go to ground so much when you because of your bad positioning. I don't want to see mud on the shorts of defenders. We had Gabriel doing that when he first arrived, and he was giving away penalties and getting sent off. It's if your positioning is right, you don't need to be diving in like that.
Don't do the Mustafi on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Saliba doesn't go to ground, does he?
No.
No.
The mitigation is the fact that he's young and he's new to the league and the team. And like you say, the pace is one thing, and the more I see him, the more I do see a centre-back. But there was a moment in the game, and I can't remember if it was just in the build-up to Southampton's goal or a bit afterwards, when their tails were still up, and they were attacking quite well on that side. And whichever Southampton players they were basically just 1-2ing their way past him each time, because he was so desperate to step into midfield and take that front foot approach that actually, and it could have helped if there was some communication from the rest of the team to just say, do you know what, 5 minutes, just stay there. Just stay in the left-back role, keep them at distance. Because if as long as they're in front of us, it's fine. But it was when they were linking up and just ghosting past him that I just thought, just use your brain for a second and sit in.
Can I? Yeah, and teams will target him, and who's next up?
Yeah.
Can I just offer up as well?
Mo Salah's next.
But by comparison, Ben White isn't blessed with great pace either, but he's just got the wiliness to know when to step in and when to just back off and show the attacker to the side that he wants them, and then get a block in or wait for the cavalry to arrive. So it's not. I don't buy the thing that he lacks pace, therefore it's
with everybody fit, he doesn't start. Timber will start at left back and Ben White will start at right back, I would imagine. I think defensively he gets caught too much.
At the moment, it's clear to see that Calafiori needs another year's development.
It's coachable.
Totally, yeah.
Because what he brings us going forward is great. He's got a good eye on him for a pass, and he's that positivity, the way he drives forward. So, we don't want to lose that, but he does need to sharpen up on the defensive side.
So we're 2-1 up in 68 minutes, and I thought, right, let's keep going. Let's keep doing what we've been doing to get us 2-1 ahead. And no, we just sat back again. I don't know what happened. I haven't looked at the stats to see how many shots we had between the 68th and the 88th minutes, but certainly in the ground, the sense I got was, why are we sitting back? And don't forget, Southampton in their season of relegation came to the Emirates and got a 3-3 draw. They're a bit of a bogey side for us. They've beaten us at their ground.
They score in the first minute. Or am I making that up?
Ramsdale's
Bournemouth?
Rickett. No, it was
Bournemouth,
Southampton.
I think they both did, didn't they? But
Brilliant.
but someone said that. Yeah. Was it? Sorry, just on Brentford today. Was it 3 games in a row they scored in the first minute, and today it was the second minute.
They're slacking.
Yeah, 1 minute 35 seconds. Come on, boys, sort it out. Anyway, what was it like? So yeah, Chris, in the ground, were you getting that sense as well? That it's like, why are we sitting back here?
Yeah, and it became a bit bitty. The game it didn't have a kind of a rhythm to it. It just seemed to be, well, are we sitting on this? I started to wonder whether or not we were just going to see it out, and he brought Tomiyasu on, which was a good substitution, I guess, but at the time it just felt like, okay, what's the game plan here? Are we just going to, what we hold?
Well, I thought he was
Fulham vibes.
I thought he was going to take Calafiori off, because Calafiori was getting rinsed and looked knackered. So I thought Tomiyasu was going to come on for him. So when Partey came off, I was like, oh, okay. What is going on?
Did you notice the size of the Southampton sub?
Oh, yes.
Huge.
Huge.
About 7 foot.
Yes.
Like he stood in between, from my position, he stood in between Gabriel and Calafiori and made them look like my height. Schoolboys. I'm like, he is... And it took him ages to start running, which I thought was hilarious because he was just such a big frame.
It's like a tanker.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the ball's gone, mate. So you missed it.
Yeah, so I need 30 seconds to slow down.
Steph, what was it like on the screen?
Yeah, same. And it was noted on commentary. I think it was Matthew Upson, who was the co-coms, who was sort of, raising his eyebrows at Arsenal's approach and just generally seemed to match everything, that it was a bit odd. It was a bit odd that they didn't really create a huge amount in the first half, on target anyway, and then it was a bit odd that they let Southampton have a go in the second half, and then it was a bit odd when we did get the goals back that we suddenly were inhibited. He just said that maybe there's a little bit of doubt in the team, a little bit of fatigue, or just like we've said, that changing chemistry of the players in and out.
You said fatigue there. Maybe we should acknowledge that we've just had 7 games in 21 days, and they're not just any 7 games. The easy Brighton at home, an easier game, but we were down to 10 men for the bones of the second half. Away to City, away to Spurs, away to Villa, PSG at home, away to Atalanta, the Europa League winners. Maybe. But then again, there's your rotation. There's your keeping your players.
I also almost said, well, maybe we should be glad of the international break. But actually, I'm not, because most of our blooming players are going to go and play meaningless international games anyway.
Okay, so Marino's going to go and play with Spain. I think that's a good thing.
Yes.
Tomiyasu is going to go away and play with Japan. Might be a good thing. He came back broken last time. Maybe not this time. Would be nice. But he although he doesn't, he's one of these players that seems to just always have a very high level. That it doesn't really require a game or two to get up to speed. And again, he's been there for a couple of seasons, a few years, so he knows he's well bedded in at this stage. I mean, we'd never want an international break, really. We lost Ødegaard last time. I mean, his injury is a little bit of a concern, possibly. They've been a bit vague about when they expect him back. But yeah, what I've read and heard is that he won't be back after the international break. We've got Liverpool on the 27th of October. Be nice to have him back for that.
It would, but I think what's good is with the Martinelli, Havertz, Saka and even Trossard being part of that as well, the one thing I don't want us to do is rush it, because any kind of setback would be doubly damaging. So actually that front four can compete with anyone, as long as they don't kick the ball away and get a second yellow card.
Did you see Declan Rice kick the ball away again in the centre of the field?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and the referee had the Arsenal crowd were baying for a yellow card for
Rice.
No,
for a Southampton player only 5 or 10 minutes before that. and the referee pointed because the ball was thrown back into the position, rough area where the free kick was to be taken. Rice did the same thing. The ball did not go back to where the free kick was to be taken, but the referee pointed to where the ball was going after Rice flicked it to say that's where the free kick is taken. The referee did not want to give a yellow card. I think the crowd were getting on the ref's back a little bit, but to be fair, I didn't see too much. He booked the players I thought he should have booked. What was the tackle on Saka like? Because it looks quite nasty from my position.
The Walker-Peters one.
Yes, he got a yellow card.
It was a yellow.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no more than that really. But it was definitely yellow.
Okay. So listen, you two boys are going to have to talk me through the Saka goal because I didn't see it. Even though I was still in the ground, I was still watching. I was too busy looking at Trossard, moaning at him for having lost the ball. And the next thing, the ball's in the back of the net. I'm like,
yeah,
what's happened? Then I obviously saw the replay, but and I could then turn to my right and tell the 11-year-old on his birthday that I told you so. He's going to score that goal for you. There you go. And he was so thrilled. I think he actually believed me. Bless him. But yeah, so Saka got the rewards for what was a man of the match performance. I don't know who has got the man of the match award, but if it's not Saka, I don't know who it could be. Havertz, possibly. But so Chris, you would have been behind that. Did you see that? Was it? I don't know. Was he just? I know he's played in by this defender, wasn't it? The ball just ricocheted to him.
So Trossard was through, and I was hoping would release it to Saka to his right, but he just kind of kept hold of it. He had two defenders kind of closing him in pincer movement, and then it kind of got a bit muddled up in there. And this, I don't know who it was, but he came away with the ball like he was going to play it out rather than hoof it, and his first touch basically took it into the path of Saka, who just went, "I'll have that." Bosh. Wasn't
Trossard going to lay it out wide to Martinelli or someone like that? I thought it was. Yes, it was going my way.
On the TV, Martinelli is on his own.
Yes.
On the left hand side.
I'm looking there.
Oh. Saka's lurking.
And meanwhile, the ball's gone in the back of the net to my left. I'm like, bugger it.
It was ridiculous. But then, like you say, the Southampton player's gone to clear, but his heavy touch has just led it to Saka, who said thank you very much. It was beautiful.
And did he have to get it past Ramsdale? I mean, was Ramsdale out of position, or was he
not out of position? But you know, it was relatively unsavable. There was no fault of Ramsdale.
It's pretty quick.
It's just a great shot.
He couldn't get down to it.
Right or left foot?
I think it was his right foot actually, but I don't know. It was lost in the haze of annoyance at Trossard.
Was
funny.
I missed that. You go to football for the goals. Bloody well missed one because I was looking at the pitch. I don't know how that happened, but anyway. And the final whistle was 9 minutes of stoppage time. How? What?
Walker-Peters was down for quite a long time.
Walker-Peters was down, and then I think I don't know. That was about it really, because the longest stoppages for injuries were in the first half. Ramsdale was down with the rib, and then their player went down and ended up having to be subbed off. It was weird.
VAR for the two of the goals.
Yeah, maybe, but still, at 9 seemed a little bit OTT, but
excessive. Yes,
we got through it.
And I do want to say, before the final whistle was met with relief, Ramsdale got a few nice chants from the North Bank, which he did acknowledge. I'm sure part of him was thinking, yeah, you wouldn't be singing that if we were still drawing or still winning. But my favourite was England's number one. England's number one. I thought that was nice. That was good. And I did see a couple of interviews he did with BBC and Sky in the build up to the game, and he was really. He had nothing bad to say about his time or his experience at the club. He said, parts of it were difficult, more the external noise looking in, which I think Arteta was partly responsible for by coming out with that nonsense 2 number ones when quite clearly you didn't. But no, he was saying that Raya's got to be in the conversation for best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. So he was very kind of
gracious, wasn't he?
Yes, and enthusiastic in his praise of Raya, and his time at the club and the fans. He did he said that the fans stuck with him the whole time, and he won't forget that. He did say that when every Arsenal game that was televised on the bench, he'd get home and his wife would say, "Yeah, you were on TV 6 times during the game this time," because after a save or a goal goes in, the kick camera pans to me. I'm like, why? So he was, I suppose, kind of worn down by the narrative, the external narrative, perhaps. But he got that, and he did acknowledge it, and he got a big ovation when he came back to pick his gloves up, very slowly as well, milking it. But yeah, fair play, because it was nice to see him. And yeah, there's not an Arsenal fan I know who wouldn't wish him all the very best. A little bit concerned that our last game of the season is at Southampton. I'm just saying that. I would like us to have the league wrapped up by then.
It'll be in the bag by then,
yeah. So look, we're what are we? 1 point off Liverpool, level on points with City. Goal difference is much of a muchness between the 3 clubs.
Tied with City.
Yeah.
They've scored 2 more.
Okay. And Liverpool have had the most generous of opening fixtures. We'll look at this later on. We've got a 2-week break now. We will look at this later on. But their set of fixtures between the return after international break and Christmas is a thing of beauty. If they're still top or on the top within 1 or 2 points of the top, then they're serious contenders this season. But because their run is ridiculous, including coming to us on the 27th of October. I mean, one of their easier games is away to Everton, which is the Merseyside derby. And Everton got a very notable 0-0 draw with Newcastle today. So Everton maybe have turned up. But anyway, going to Goodison as a Liverpool team, they'll be right up for it. Whether that makes a difference to the outcome or not is another matter. But so we've got to be reasonably content, a little bit frustrated with the 98th minute equaliser up at City. But apart from that, I mean, I query our tactics when we went down to 10 men at home to Brighton whilst being 1-0 up. But it's been pretty flawless apart from that, hasn't it? Got to be happy, Steph. You happy, Steph?
I am happy because in front of me I've got our prediction scores, and I've been keeping obviously a tally of those. So me and you, Holly, are both on 4 points. We've managed to get 4 results right, and Chris is out in front because he's got 4 results right, but one of them was spot on in the score, so he's got 6 points. So overall, and because someone asked me to keep a track of this because I'm so pessimistic all the time with my predictions, and they wanted to know what things would be like if life played out with my misery.
Are we in the bottom 3?
No, not quite. I mean, it's early days in the season. The disparity between what Arsenal get and what I predict could widen. Right.
Okay. So hang on a minute. We are as a club. We are on. How many points are we on? 16. What is it?
We're on 17 points.
17. So we're on 7. So have you got the points tally by comparison to what we're actually on?
Yep.
Brilliant. Right.
So if
17 points.
If all the results had gone the way I predicted, we would be on 15 points.
Okay. Wow. Maybe you get bad press unfairly.
I do also think that maybe this is a sign of me coming to terms with the fact that we are a proper side now. But I did also say recently that aside from the Wolves game, start of the season, because they were rubbish and I knew we'd beat them, the other times that I've predicted that we'll win were Brighton, when we drew, and
Leicester.
Last week and this week. And last week and this week have not been easy going. They've made me want to start predicting defeats because I just don't want to tempt fate.
How many games have we played? Sorry, I haven't got a table in front of me. Have we played 7?
6. 7. Is it? Yeah, 7. 5 2 zeros.
Steph, are you trying to tell me that in your predictions, by your predictions, we've only dropped 6 points? Yeah. You did not predict us to beat Spurs or beat City.
No,
or beat Villa.
I predicted a draw against Spurs. I'll have you know. And I predicted a draw. I keep predicting draws, basically, is what we're learning here.
So have you done the points tally for me and Chris?
No. Sorry.
Oh, come on.
I can only do so much maths.
I wanted to see. I wanted to see how we. I mean, I think I've predicted us to win every game.
I think the only
Did
one
I?
I slipped
What
up
about
on-
City?
You have.
Yeah, there you go.
Apart from City.
No, I did. I said back your team. No, I remember. I predicted us to beat City.
You predicted a draw against Spurs.
Did I? Right. Okay.
Did, yeah. So yeah, there you go.
Okay. So my tally is 19 points. What's Chris's?
Oh God, here we go. What's he got? Win, draw,
Okay.
win. 3, 6,
Right.
9,
Same as you then.
12,
15.
Yeah. Yep.
So actually, we're equally close. We're 2 points either side
It's only 7.
of our actual tally. Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting one to keep a tally on. So we get to Christmas, revisit that.
Cool.
Okay. Look, we're looking at the international break. 2 weeks. I think is it Bournemouth away? Our next league game.
Bournemouth
Is that
away,
like
on
a
the
Saturday
19th.
5:30 kickoff or something. And
I'll be
and
there.
then Shakhtar at home and thing. But anyway, okay. Look, anything else to say on today?
No.
Job done. 3 points.
Job
Move
done,
on.
yeah.
Points. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Look, the record books will look back on these last 2 games and see a 4-2 and a 3-1. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the other side. Cheerio.
See ya.
Bye. The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by the Podcast Company.
I kept reaching for me Jack Daniels and Coke, but then remembering that we're actually on video.
Share it,
Still.
mate. Share it. Yeah.
People
Come
won't be
on.
able to tell, will they? I've got my
No.
Arsenal mug going on.
You'll never know.